What's going on, everyone? My name is Joseph Reynolds, and today joining me is a woman called Aspen Ladd, and as well joined by the dog as well in the background, I'm sure, ready to answer some questions as well. But ahead of your next fight against Olena Kolesnyk, how are you feeling for that fight?
Fantastic. Couldn't be better.
Yeah, and taking a look at this matchup, obviously you've been able to make your PFL debut in a new weight class, and sort of looking at that, how has that sort of been? And then obviously now having this fight as well, moving into the first regular season for yourself.
Super exciting. So I was incredibly grateful last year that I was able to get on their last cards. Everything with me happened around then, getting signed by them, and then having a space open on that card. So I've seen the end of the tournament, and I've spoken to some other fighters about their participation in it. But obviously, this is my first time going into the seasonal format, which is very exciting for me. But I'm grateful that I've already had one fight with PFL under my belt just to see how they work.
Yeah, and I'm sure sort of taking a lot, there'll have been a lot of promotions that once you left the UFC that have been wanting to sign you. But what was it with the PFL that sort of made it that right destination for you, and what made it really stand out to yourself?
There was a couple things because I've come from a situation where I was used to, they can call you on 2 weeks notice, or you can take somebody off and be shelved for 4 months. And knowing that the PFL had the seasonal format, and they seemed more like they cared about a fighter's merits, not just talking crap or whatever. But the seasonal format, knowing when you're going to fight, knowing that there's a time period where you're not going to, that was really, really enticing. And just from the moment I started speaking with them, they treated me extremely well. And then seeing when I fought with them for the first time, they treat everybody well, like from their lowest level fighters to their highest level. So it's like, wow, this is a human element I'm not used to.
Yeah, and sort of being able to be a part of the promotion and now moving into the first tournament style setting as well. Obviously, the fight season could be every 2 months, but to have this opportunity of moving into that tournament, how are you sort of feeling and how excited are you sort of looking at the landscape of the division as well?
Super excited. Like, obviously, I know the other women that are in the division or in the tournament so far, and I haven't looked into them that much because right now Lena is my goal. She's my main focus. But they have some talented girls, heavy-ended striker types, and a couple good grapplers. But they're really putting attention into building a division, not just a fighter here, a fighter there. Like, they're going for it.
Yeah, and as well in the PFL, obviously the women's divisions are, they're some of the most coveted in the world that you'll find. Obviously, Kayla Harrison, one of the biggest stars you'll find inside the PFL, and to be in such a platform where women's MMA is really put sort of on a pedestal in there, and you see the growth as well in there. What's that also sort of like to be a part of, knowing that you can reach the sort of top of that promotion?
They definitely treat their women, their men, everybody they treat well and equally. As I said, from lowest level fighters, regardless of sex, to the highest level, they treat them well. But it's just really exciting to be in a place where I get to do what I love, and then there's no stress as far as dealing with people who aren't the nicest people. But yeah, no, it's just a really good place to be.
Yeah, and then sort of looking at this matchup and Olena Kolesnyk, how do you sort of see this fight playing out? Sorry, and how do you sort of see this going a little bit?
Lena is a very heavy-handed southpaw striker and doesn't seem to like the ground all that much. So I have a general idea of where she'll want to keep the fight, and there's a general idea of where I'm going to want to take the fight. But we'll really have to wait and see to see how it goes.
Yeah, and then as well, obviously, in terms of having this fight and then looking at the future in terms of sort of the busy schedule, when you do sort of look at the tournament, what are some of the things that are most exciting about that to yourself?
The back-to-back fights. I mean, obviously it's going to be grueling physically, and I haven't fought that much as an amateur. Like my first 6 amateur fights were in 6 months, but that was the last time I fought back-to-back like that. And so it's a little bit different, especially when you're at the highest levels and you're fighting other very high-level competition. So really trying to stay healthy in between is going to be the main challenge here. But just knowing that I have another fight booked, or obviously you do well, you have the potential to have another fight booked. But that's really, really exciting. It's like, okay, we're fighting in this month, and then 6 to 8 weeks later, we're fighting again. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then sort of coming out of the UFC and then moving into the PFL, obviously, he was able to bounce back to winning ways and show that you do belong at the highest level. In terms of sort of being able to come back from those 2 losses, what has that sort of been like for you in terms of being able to get back to that winning streak?
Yeah. So like losses, you honestly, I've learned more from them than I have from my wins, that's for sure. And it stings, and it stings for a long time. Because unlike other sports where you get to go out and play again the next weekend and fix it, fighters, we have to sit in our shit for a while. So you have a bad performance, you have a bad night, you get to sit there, you get to think about it, you get to improve. But it's a very, very difficult thing. It is, regardless of what sport you're in, losing sucks. But for us, as I said, there's a little bit more on it because it's very one-on-one and you have a long time before you're able to fix your mistakes. And nothing fixes it until you get back in. So yeah, you learn a lot, you grow, and you get back on the horse.
Yeah, and then in terms of sort of taking a look now at obviously what's at the end of the tournament, the $1 million prize, I'm sure it's something you've been asked about already, but taking a look at that and knowing that's what you're fighting for, and also the belt as well, what is it like to sort of know that it's only a couple of fights away? Obviously, I know you won't be overlooking this fight, but to take a look and see how close it is, sort of, what's that sort of been like to take a look at?
It's insane because not only like you're fighting for your contracted rates, which that's what we all do anyway. But not only that, you're out there fighting, you're building, you know, you're gonna have another fight, which is great. Like you're not gonna be shelved forever. But then also you keep doing well, you're building towards this $1 million prize. Like it's the new thing for me and it's thrilling. But the fact that that is there is just a unique and very, very awesome opportunity.
Yeah, and does it sort of provide another sense of motivation as well to know that that's what's sort of there? How is that? Is this something to keep you motivated going through this season?
I think motivation is there regardless, because if you don't have it, you're not going to do the greatest. But it's a different kind of motivation, I suppose. It's just another like cherry on top. Like everybody's like, I want the belt. Well, at the PFL, you can see I want the belt. You can be like, I want the $1 million, which is, yeah, it's definitely a different level of, oh wow, this thing waiting is like a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, and then also just the preparation for this fight, and obviously it's not too far away now. In terms of sort of looking at your prep for this fight, how has that been, and how you sort of feeling going into the fight as well?
Great. I've been able to enjoy training, get back to really liking what I do. Like anything else, you can get burnt out, but I'm not. Like at this point in my career, I feel really good, physically the best I've felt. So I have no complaints.
Yeah, and then just a final thing for myself is, what is it that the fans sort of moving into this fight and even beyond into the PFL season, what is it that they can expect to see from yourself moving forward?
I always try to have an exciting fight, but for the PFL, especially going into a seasonal format, you want to get in and out as fast as possible, and that is my goal. So if you want to see fights that are fast-paced and with that goal in mind, tune in.
Well, there's everything from myself. I really appreciate your time. If you'd like to take a chance at any sponsors, anything like that, obviously just feel free to go ahead.
I'm just going to say thank you for having me on.
No, absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. But obviously, make sure you tune in April 1st. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.